Good morning to everyone.
Good
I
morning.
warmly welcome you all to this one-day national webinar on impact of public policies on income distribution, organized by the Department of Economics in collaboration with the Alumni Association of Srimati Bangaramma Sajjan, Arts, Commerce and Science College for Women, Vijayapur. We are privileged to have distinguished speakers with us today who will share their insights on this crucial topic. As keynote speaker, Professor S.T. Bagalkoti sir, Professor of Economics and Registrar, Haveri University, Haveri. As a resource person, Professor Panindra Goyari sir, Professor of Economics, School of Economics, University of Hyderabad. And the program will be presided by Dr. Y. Tammanna, Principal and Associate Professor of Political Science of our college. To begin this program, I invite Srimati H.S. Desai, Faculty Department of English, to deliver the welcome address. Madam,
Good
over to
morning.
you.
Yes. Good morning, distinguished guests, esteemed faculty members, research scholars, and dear participants. Respected Principal Dr. Y. Tammanna sir, esteemed keynote speaker Professor S.T. Bagalkoti sir, distinguished resource person Professor Fanindra Goyari sir, respected faculty members, research scholars, dear participants, and students. It is with great pleasure and a sense of privilege that I, H.S. Desai, Faculty, Department of English of BLD, Srimati Bangaramma Sajjan, Arts, Commerce and Science College for Women, Vijayapura, extend a warm welcome to each one of you to today's webinar on Impact of Public Policies on Income Distribution, organized under IQAC initiative by the Department of Economics of our college in collaboration with Alumni Association of our college. Sir, we are privileged to have with us eminent speakers who will share their insights on this crucial topic. I extend my heartfelt welcome to them all and to all the participants. At the very outset, I would like to extend our warmest welcome to the keynote speaker of today's webinar, Professor S.T. Bagalkoti sir, an esteemed academician and registrar of Haveri University, Haveri. His vast expertise in economics and policy studies will undoubtedly enrich our understanding who have joined us today to engage in this meaningful discussion. Once again, I'm honored to welcome you, sir, on my behalf of my institution and my own behalf. Sir,
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
we are also privileged to have Professor Fanindra Goyari, sir, from the School of Economics, University of Hyderabad, Hyderabad, as our resource person. His deep insights into economic policies and income distribution will greatly contribute to today's discourse. Sir, I, on behalf of my own institution and my own behalf, I welcome you, sir. I extend a warm welcome to our respected principal, Dr. Y. Tammanna sir, for his continuous guidance and encouragement in fostering academic excellence. Once again, I welcome you, sir. I extend welcome to Bhakti Mahindrakar, convener of today's webinar, head of the Department of Economics and IQAC coordinator, and Mr. Suleiman M. Hattarakihal, Organizing Secretary of today's webinar and faculty of Department of Economics. Once again, I welcome you. I welcome all the participants of today's webinar. Let's make today's a productive and insightful experience. Without further ado, let's get started. Welcome once again and thank you for giving this opportunity. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for the warm welcome to dignitaries and as well as the participants. Now I request Dr. Bhakti Mahindrakar, Head Department of Economics, IQAC Coordinator of our college and convener of this webinar, to give us an overview of today's webinar and introduce our keynote speaker. Madam, please.
A warm morning. To eminent dignitaries, honorable guests, faculties, research scholars, students, and dear participants. I take this privilege to introduce speaker of today's webinar, which is organized on one of the most challenging tasks of present situation. Respected speakers, eminent dignitaries, esteemed colleagues, dear participants, economists from different higher educational institutions throughout our proud country, and research scholars, and my also dear students. A very warm and pleasant morning to all. I'm honored to express my thoughts about one of the crucial webinar on the title Impact of Public Policies on Income Distribution, organized by the Department of Economics at BLDEA's Srimati Bangaramma Sajjan Arts, Commerce and Science College for Women, Vijayapur, Karnataka. Income distribution, a critical aspect of economic stability and social welfare, remains at the heart of the public policy discussion worldwide. The policies crafted by our governments profoundly influence the economic landscape, affecting every citizen's quality of life and opportunity to prosper. Today, we gather to examine into this crucial theme and explore the multi-layered ways in which public policies shape income distribution within our society. Public policies encompassing
ಸುಲೇಮಾನ್ ಅವರು ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಕಾಣ್ತದೆ.
ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು. मैडम आ रहा इस यहाँ पे आओ मैडम. हाँ कम कम.
उल्टा 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 माउस दो माउस वेबिनार करके देखो. Income distribution, a critical aspect of economic stability and social welfare, remains at the heart of the public policy discussion worldwide. The policies crafted by our governments profoundly influence the economic landscape, affecting every citizen's quality of life and opportunity to prosper. Today, we gather to examine this crucial theme and explore the multi-layered ways of with public policies shaping income distribution within our society. Public policies encompassing fiscal measures, social welfare programs, tax reforms, and regulatory frameworks serve as a bedrock of economic governance. These policies aim to promote equitable wealth distribution, reduce poverty, and foster inclusive growth. However, the complexity of economic systems and the diverse needs of population make it challenging to strike the right balance. It is my privilege to introduce speakers of today's webinar, which is organized on one of the most challenging tasks of present epoch. I feel very much privileged, and it is my extreme honor to have an opportunity to introduce one of the most outstanding academician, the guest speaker of present webinar, Professor S.T. Bagalkoti sir. Professor of Economics and Registrar, Haveri University, Haveri. Professor S.T. Bagalkoti sir holds the position of Registrar of Haveri University, Haveri, served as a professor in the PG Department of Economics, member, Academic Council, and Director IQAC, Karnataka University, Dharwad. Sir has been teaching to PG students since 1989. He served as the chairman, Department of Economics, during 2012 to 14 and as a coordinator of UGC SAP in economics. Sir has successfully guided 21 PhD, 8 MPhil, and more than 50 master's dissertations. Sir has published 2 books and more than 70 papers. Sir is resource person to train PU, UG, and PG teachers, NET, SLET aspirants, research scholars, elected representatives, and other developmental functionaries. He has delivered lectures and addresses on varied platforms and at national seminars and conferences. Sir designs and conducts social surveys and handles data collection tasks. Sir has organized more than 20 academic events at national and state level. Sir has completed 16 research projects relating funded by World Bank, European Union, UGC, ICSSR, Ministry of HRD, Government of Karnataka, JHDP, Karnataka University, and many more. Sir is one of the statutory board of universities across the country and public service commissions. Sir has on the district level statistics monitoring committee and the textbook revision committee of Government of Karnataka. Sir is on the panel of expert evaluators of Karnataka Evaluation Authority, Government of Karnataka, Bengaluru. Sir is an additional board of few national and international journals also. Sir act as an advisory committees of research programs and an autonomous of many autonomous colleges. Sir is life member of professional organizations, a member of Executive Committee of Indian Economic Association, that is IEA, and a trustee of the Indian Social Science Association, Agra. Sir is also the governing board of the International Organization for Collaborative Outcome Management, Canada. Sir is an advisory committee of Yashwantrao Chauhan School of Rural Development, Shivaji University, Kolhapur. Sir has assisted the university administration in many capacities and has worked actively with the NAC, IQAC, and AAA committees of universities within and outside Karnataka. It is our immense pleasure to have such an eminent scholar and academician in economics. His ideas of student centricity have assured numerous developments towards strengthening student employability. I am sure that all the participants will be enlightened by the knowledge shared by Professor S.T. Bhagwati sir. Sir, thank you, sir, for giving me opportunity to share few words about the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for the introductory speech as well as the introduction of the today's keynote speaker. So now it's time for the keynote address. We are honored to have with us Professor S.T. Bagalkoti sir, Professor of Economics and Registrar of Haveri University. Sir, your expertise in this field is highly valued. So we look forward to your insights on today's topic. Sir, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. And namaste to everyone who is online. President of this national webinar, Dr. Tammanna, the principal of Srimati Bangaramma Sajjan College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Vijayapura. My co-resource person, Professor Panindra Goyari. Dr. Bhakti Mahindrakar, the convener of this webinar. My friend Mr. Suleiman Hattarakihal, who is a faculty, and Madam Desai, who welcomed all of us, all the teachers of the college, and all the participants who have joined for this particular webinar. The topic is of great significance for a variety of reasons, especially in these days of global turmoil and geopolitical tensions. the economic inequalities, they have to be dissected into their completeness and suitable policies designed. It's not that economic inequality has sprung up recently, it has been there with us since the beginning of civilized society. But however, the dimensions of inequality have very significantly deepened and widened during the current period. Hence, I appreciate the efforts made by the college to select a theme like the economic inequalities and the public policies to address these inequalities and engage in an academic interaction. Of course, my task is to raise few issues for all the participants to contemplate, introspect, and take up future studies and evaluate the policies that are already being implemented in India as well as elsewhere. May I just go to my presentation, Mr. Suleiman?
So,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Uh, yes, I hope the presentation is visible.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. In fact, the photo which I have imprinted on the first slide is very popular figure of Karnataka's 12th century social revolutionary. Not only social, but he was a comprehensive revolutionary touching all facets of human life. And he, in fact, was a person who practiced equality, not merely preach equality, but practiced. He says that everyone is ours. If we have to look for the roots of inclusion in public discourses, then we have to go to Lord Basveshwara's contributions. So that is why I thought Basveshwara's photo would be very, very suitable to begin with the seminar. So let us pay our respect to the contributions made by Lord Basveshwara to this field and continue what we have to go about. In fact, the World Economic Forum every year publishes what is called as the Global Risks Report. And this year's Global Risks Report, and every year it lists the top 10 risks depending upon the losses to the human beings and various other things, etc. It makes a list. And this year, inequality is among the top 10 lists, top 10 risks. Of course, it is the 10th at the bottom of that list, but still it is among the top 10 list, which is affecting the prosperity, the prospects of a large majority of the people. And if you look at the other risks which are topped above inequality, they all have the they are bound to widen or depress the problem much more. So therefore, if we are to tackle the risks faced by human beings, we have to look into inequality in a more better manner. And of course, we have different types of inequality. And in India, which is a very heterogeneous society, we can speak of number of types of inequality. It may be rural, urban, it may be gender inequality, it may be social inequality, it may be political inequality, it may be regional inequality. So inequalities are of varied types in whatever way you can represent them. And definitely these inequalities are not in tune with the professed development objectives of any country. So if the present government says sabka saath sabka vikas, then the basic philosophy underlining it is taking out measures for equitable development of all. And if we have to reach the Viksit Bharat by 2047, unless we ensure equality, especially for the poorer sections and neglected sections and deprived sections of the society, whether it is the Viksit Bharat or Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, it is not going to happen. So therefore, we need to take note of these various kinds of inequalities and try to work out. And in fact, each area of inequality has been subject of very wide and deep studies by scholars in throughout the world. And what is the extent of inequality? In fact, once again, going to the Global Inequalities Report in 2020, published in 2024, it is noticed that top 1% earn more than 60 of 50% of the income, and 22% of the income, and top 10% more than 51 to 60% of the income, which means the income is concentrated in very few hands of the people. Whether it is income or wealth, we see lot of concentration, and very smaller percentage of income or wealth is held by the people with lower income levels. So inequality is a reality, and inequality has been showing its very ugly faces in almost all fields. That is what I wanted to tell. Now, from global level, coming to India, once again, what we notice is the Indian situation is also not very different. It is not quite different. And if we notice that the bottom 50%, they hold only 15% of the total income. 50% holding only 50%. If you see the top 1%, they hold around 23%. That means nearly 1/4 of the total income earned is earned by only top 1%. And if you take top 10%, nearly 60%, 58% of the income is earned by the top 10%. So if you again take the middle 40%, definitely they earn only say around 30 to 35% of the income. So income distribution is very skewed, which is seen in our in the reports that are being shown. And this is a figure just to raise few issues. I am showing these figures because we need to understand inequality in all its dimensions. This table reveals what is the trends in income inequality by economic groups. When I say by economic groups, it is the income classes. So if you look at the top 1%, the share of top 1% has steadily increased from 13% in the fifth decade of 50s. That was soon after the independence. The top 1% earned 13%, but it has increased gradually to nearly 22%. Whereas compare it with the share of the bottom 50%, bottom half of the population, which was earning around 18% of the income in 50s, it has now come down to only 13%. So gradually there has been a shift of income from the lower income category to the higher income category. Even the middle income category, which is the middle income category, it has not been able to get the substantial share in the income. So even if you take top 10% also, the top 10% has seen significant increase in the share of the income earned by the earned in the country. And the same trend is shown here. Again, the chart is taken from the Global Inequality Report, and if you see, the green line represents bottom 1%, the red line represents top 1%, red line top 10%, and the blue line bottom 50%. It definitely shows that there is a clear divergence in the income that is being shared by the people. And in the recent days, the divergence has been very high. See, up to say around 2010, the divergence was not very high. But after the liberalization, when the neoliberal policies were introduced, the corporate sector, the service sector has boomed, whereas the other especially agriculture sector and small industries and unorganized sector, they have not been able to catch up with the facilities created, and they have almost stagnated. So because of this reason, very few people or very few sectors of activity have been benefited by these processes, and thereby we see the economic growth benefiting very, very few people in our country. So the fact is that economic inequality is there and it is increasing at a very, very rapid pace. And again, this shows the annual growth of net assets by decile groups. Decile groups refers to the 10%, the classification of population by 10% of the income groups. And we see that there has been, again, the growth rate has not been uniform, and it is definitely helping. No doubt it has helped the middle income categories, but still we find that the growth in the assets has not been uniform across the decile groups. Of course, this figure shows that there is a potentiality for the lower income groups to perform, but still the situation is the processes as we have adopted in India today, they are in such a manner that they are favoring more the richer classes rather than the poorer and the middle income classes. Now, what about the international perspective? And if you see from the international perspective, I have given a chart which shows the trends in income inequality for selected countries. And here the chart depicts the share in national income of the top 1% between 1980 and 2021. And if you see India's, the share of top 1% has been the highest, which means that the inequality in India is the highest among the countries that have chosen to show. And of course, Brazil's is also very high. But again, if you see the gap between the India's line and Brazil's line, there is definitely a lot of difference to look at. So in India, inequality is increasing at a very, very alarming rate, which should cause a concern among the policymakers and among the persons who are concerned with the welfare of the people. And one more point to notice is the growth in the number of billionaires. And it is noticed that India ranks third in the billionaire count after the US and China. And Indian billionaires in 2024, the number has increased significantly. The percentage change has been more than 21% as far as India is concerned. That's what the first panel shows. The first panel shows that number of billionaires has increased significantly. And the second panel shows the estimated wealth of the billionaires, and it shows that the estimated in India, the wealth has increased from around $637 billion to $905 billion, showing a rise of 42% in a matter of for 10 years, which is really very huge. So if you look at the amount, the value, it is more than the combined GSDP, that is a gross state domestic product of all the South Indian states put together. The South Indian states are the richer states in the country. And if you combine all these, the GSDP of all these states, the wealth of these billionaires is greater than the income produced in the South Indian states. So that shows how the billionaires have been benefited and how the inequality has been raised. It's not merely look at only one side, but even if you look at the other side also, what has happened to poverty? Of course, the government reports reveal that the rate of the proportion of population under poverty, whether it's multidimensional poverty or headcount ratio, has declined over a period of time. But again, the recent data based on the National Statistical Organization's periodic labor force survey shows that the poverty headcount ratio and absolute number of poor in India has risen from 2011 12 to 2019-20, and this has been endorsed by a number of other studies. Not only this, if you look at the human development parameters, whether it is dropout rates, whether it is malnutrition rates, whether it is gender inequality, whether it is the non-representation of women, disadvantaged sections in the political or in the civic arena, etc. If you look at all these dimensions of human development, we find that many sections of the population are not getting due representation. So all these result in deprivation of the poorer sections of the, or the poorer echelons of the society. So inequality is very high. Inequality is increasing at an alarming rate, leading to deprivation for a large chunk of the population in civic, social, economic, and political representations. And ultimately, it is ending contributing to lower human development outcomes of these particular people. And if you look at our Human Development Index and Human Development Ranking, we are among the lower category. It is in the low middle income category, low middle, low human development. We come in the lower middle human development category, which indicates that because of the low human development outcomes of these large sections of the population, the overall human development is pulled down in our country. So this itself is a testimony that income inequality is bad and it should be addressed. That is what is the outcome of this particular situation. And similarly, we are now talking of what are called as the Sustainable Development Goals, which are agreed to by all the nations of the world. That's by 2030, some 17 goals are to be attained for the development of everyone. In fact, the tagline of Sustainable Development Goals is leaving no one behind. That means the development should affect everybody. The last person on the last mile should be ensured all the basic amenities of life, and he should be in the mainstream of the development. That is what the Sustainable Development Goal means. But if you look at the performance of India in the Sustainable Development Goals, especially the 10th goal, which in fact focuses on reduced inequalities. Again, I have put the data here. I need not recount or need not read all the data. The data is self-explanatory. So whether you take poverty line, whether you take literacy, whether you take the support from the government, whether you take the earning by social groups, India is not performing better than what it was performing earlier. Some of the reports may say it has been improvement, but still the improvement is not as expected. And because of the other non-performing segment of the population, as I mentioned earlier, the overall index is being pulled down. So whether it is income performance, whether it is human development performance, whether it is sustainable development performance, our performance has been pulled down because of the inequality that is there. And this is a very common knowledge of all the economics or even social science students, wherein the economic inequality has multiple impacts. It may lead to perpetuation of poverty and deprivation. I have already mentioned that it may result in social unrest and conflict. So whether you mention of the Arab Spring or of any other such uprisings which have happened in the last 20 years, it is mainly because of the frustration and dissatisfaction of the large segment of the population, and they have resulted in the social tensions, conflicts, etc. Whether it is the problems like Naxalism, etc. in our country, they are again because of these various kinds of inequalities. And thirdly, in economic inequality, as I already said, it hinders the human development. So whether it is social health, whether it is participation, whether it is education, skill development. So economic inequality deprives some segments of the population to reach to their potential and thereby earn what is required for a decent living. So human development again is subdued if there is economic inequality. Then there is reduced social mobility, and this is true not only for India but also for many countries where social stratifications are there. And because of this, the lower segments of the population, they do not move up in the ladder of social development or economic development. And that is why in all the policy matters we have separate policies for the SCs, STs, OBCs, minorities, and even women. So there is no social movement upwards because of the economic inequality. Then there will be political instability, and that is we have already seen wherever the inequality is high, people may rise in revolt or go against the government, and that what has happened in Sri Lanka, or just that what happened in Bangladesh and in many other countries. So there will be political instability, which again affects the economic performance and the social performance of the nation. And economic inequality may also perpetuate environmental degradation, because the poor people, they will have to depend on the nature, like they will have to result in overfishing, overcutting of trees, over exploitation of resources like water, land, etc., which results in further environmental degradation. And as a result of all these things, there will be reduced economic growth. And already if the students of Indian economy may know that between 1965 and 1980, when the industrial slowdown was there, many arguments were given, and one of the arguments was the inequality that was persisting in the Indian economy at that particular time. So obviously the inequality will also reduce the economic growth. So the huge costs are there, and these costs definitely reduce the economic value that has been produced, and thereby affects the economic performance. So these are the impacts of economic inequality. The same thing I have tried to put in another graphic point of thing. And the major things which are, there are poorer health outcomes. That's what I have already said. People with lower incomes are more likely to experience poor health outcomes than those with higher incomes. Then there is reduced social mobility. That is what I have told. Then I have said that there is reduced economic growth is there. And one thing I mentioned about the youth unrest, but there will be increased crime rates. And wherever there is inequality, the crime rates are found to be, these are all established by research studies in different parts of the world. So increased crime rates are there, and political instability will also be there. This is what I have already said. Now, what does economic theory tell about the inequality? If this is this problem of inequality, and if this is what it happens, then what is the economic solution for that? In fact, in economic theory, we talk about a trade-off between efficiency and equity. They say that if you promote equity, then efficiency, that is the productivity, would come down. So when productivity comes down, the overall growth will also comes down. That particular kind of argument has been there in the economic theory in one group of the school. Then secondly, you might have heard about the Kuznets curve. Kuznets curve, which is an inverted U shape, which says that as income increases, the inequality tends to increase up to certain point of development. After that, there will be what is called as the trickle-down effect. There's a trickle-down effect, and because of that, the inequality will come down. As the benefits of growth go to reach all the sections, start reaching all the sections of the people, then inequality will come down. It is like saying that a rising tide lifts all the boats. Say in a sea, when the tide is rising, it lifts all the boats, whether a big ship or a small boat. So similar argument is made by the Kuznets curve. Simon Kuznets, named after Simon Kuznets, he says that as the incomes increase, first the inequality rise, then after a certain point, the inequality will start declining. This is another point of agreement. The third point of argument is the technological change, which is a very important factor in economic growth, is skill biased. Obviously, the technology changes, the skill levels changes, the skill demand changes, and whoever has the skill will be able to catch hold of that and grow ahead. So if you again go back and look at our green revolution experience, so those farmers who had better land, who had irrigation facilities, who had credit to buy inputs, they prospered more than the small farmers who had neither of these things. So obviously, the skill bias, the skill sets or technology, since it is skill biased, it affects only those skills. For example, even now, it is the computer skills which have been determining the incomes that are earned by a person. So we say data mining and machine learning are the ones which have to be learned if you want to get a job. So unless the person has these skills, he may not get a job and not earn income. So therefore, since technology is skill biased, then as the economic growth, the economists argue that inequality is inevitable. And these explanations, they seem to suggest that this is a situation which is normally happening. So let us not worry much about that. And therefore they say that let us maintain status quo. So and capitalism will take care of the inequality on its own. And similarly, unfortunately, for a very long period of time, the international organizations like IMF and World Bank also ignored the problem of inequality, and they considered inequality too political. It's as a political issue. So it was combined, it was aligned with socialist capitalist controversy rather than as an economic alternative. Then poverty, efficiency are apolitical. So therefore, they tend to ignore it in the earlier days. Now, at least after 1980, they changed their stance, but up to 1980, it was totally ignored. And even the latest G20 has also not put inequality as on its agenda. So in a way, economic theory has not been able to address the problem of inequality in a very, very systematic framework. That is where policy comes. So economic theory has ignored it, but policy comes where policy is a multidisciplinary perspective. It is politics, it is economics, it is sociology, it is psychology. So when all these come put together, when we go beyond economics, then we have certain what you say solutions that are coming in your picture. And if you look at the recent growth of nature of recent economic growth, it is service oriented, it is skill oriented, it is urban oriented, it is finance oriented, and it is trade oriented. And all these are available to those persons who have either skills or have certain resources already. Either they should be from a business community, or they should have institutions who support them, or they should have necessary skills, or they should have institutions which give them finance, or they should be in a position to trade with others. So when the growth is supporting more these persons, not either manufacturing or the agriculture sector, then obviously the people depending on agriculture or manufacturing tend to stay backward, and the service sector dependent people tend to grow advanced. For example, in India, if you see, the number of percentage of population dependent on agriculture is nearly 45%, whereas the income share of agriculture has come down to 12% only. That means 45% of the population has to share only 12% of the income. So our growth has not been towards the labor intensive sectors, thereby perpetuating the economic inequality. So even not only the economic theory, but the economic growth has also followed the same thing, thereby perpetuating the economic growth. This is where the policy comes. This is where the policy comes, and we have to, as policy analysts or as academicians, we have to look into these things very, very carefully. Then what are the policy options available? Usually we talk of four things. One is redistribution of wealth. Whether you do it, the best things is using a fiscal mechanism, tax the rich and reallocate the tax resources to the benefit of the poor. That is redistribution of wealth, which will reduce inequality, but it has its own pluses and minuses. Let me not go into them. Then second and most important is access to basic amenities. Say when you talk of government's intervention or fiscal policy, the task of fiscal policy is said to be creation of public goods, the goods that are required by all for common consumption. And these public goods are provided when access is equal to all, then everybody has equal chance to grow. But however, again, for example, if you look at the national highways which are being developed in India, the access is not completely free. It is toll based. So only those people who have better vehicles and a capacity to pay toll can go into the highways, and not the poor people or a farmer with a cart and his bullocks. He cannot go onto the highways. So, but still, apart from this highways, there are other basic amenities like good housing, then good education system which gives basic literacy and skills to the individuals, then health facilities, then other transport facilities, and nowadays the digital public infrastructure, because everything is now internet driven. And if the persons have access to internet, then obviously there are chances to grow, and new business avenues, new production avenues have come forth with the internet. So access to basic amenities, basic necessities of life, whether it is drinking water, better housing, transportation, sanitation, then nutrition and education, all these need to be promoted by the government. And third and most importantly, it's the social safety nets. Yes, despite the government efforts, despite economic growth, many people tend to remain poorer, weak, and for them, social safety nets have to be given by the government, whether in the form of subsidies, whether in the form of specific programs. So in India has a history of generating special programs, right from the Community Development Program in 1952, the latest PM Kisan Yojana. The government has a huge number of programs. They say that from cradle to grave, we have schemes to help the lower sections of the people. So therefore, we need to manage these social safety mechanisms in a better manner to help the poor people, though they may not bring them to the level of the rich, but still they may be taken out of deprivation and made them to grow. And the fourth one is investment in public infrastructure. That's what I said, the public goods. So these infrastructure, whether it is electricity, whether it is roads, whether it is irrigation, whether it is telecom infrastructure, whether it is schools, whether it is health. So all these public infrastructure should be created and should be maintained properly, made available to the people for the use of them. For example, it is now said that the out-of-pocket expenses for health is one of the highest reason for debt among the poor people. And if somebody suffers from a very fatal, very serious disease like cancer, etc., the only option before a poor person is to sell off his property. Now, if that is taken care of by the government, then obviously lot many people can be saved. These are the four important areas where the government can initiate. Now, we can save the same thing in a more detailed manner, like providing universal basic income, progressive taxation, skill development, strong social safety net. Strong safety. Oh my God, it has come. Strong safety, social safety net, and encouraging employee ownership. But anyway, in our case, employee ownership may not be that very robust. But now, the why I have put this slide is for three reasons. The first three ones: providing universal basic income. For example, in Karnataka, the Karnataka government is experimenting with the 5 guarantee schemes, wherein a fixed sum of money, a predetermined sum of money is put into the hands of the people, whether it is women, whether it is youth, or whether it is in the form of ration support or in the form of travel support. It is given to the people so that their access to the income increases, their purchasing power increases, and they can participate more in economic activities, then their social mobility improves. Now, this is a concept which is now practiced in various other countries, and it has its own advantages and disadvantages. And in India, almost all governments are now trying variants of this. For example, whether it is Ladli Behna scheme or whether it is the PM Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana. So the government is trying to send money to the hands of the people and ensuring them that they get some minimum amount so that they can overcome the problems of whatever they have. That is one. Second one is progressive taxation. In India also we have progressive taxation, but the rate of progression is very low. And if you look at last 2-3 budgets, the share of income tax is higher than the share of corporate tax. That means individuals are paying more tax than the corporates. But if you look at the profits earned by the corporates, I told you about the billionaires, but if you look at the corporate profits, they have increased at a rapid rate. Now, why the government is not taxing these corporate profits for helping the poorer sections of the people is a very important question. So the progression has to increase, and government has to show a political will in increasing the tax rates on these people. And third and most important is the skill development and education. Of course, there are many schemes, but still we have not been able to provide all the necessary skills to the young people, and therefore the youth unemployment is still very high, which is affecting the growth prospects. And these are some of the policies which the government of India has adopted. So we have land reforms and redistribution of the land, we have control over monopolies and restricted practices, we have social security measures, minimum needs programs for the weak, then taxation, fiscal policy, youth employment, education, health, equity in health, providing minimum wage to the all working families. So all these programs are being implemented at different levels, and as I said, they have their own implementational failures, because of which the expected results have not been not been reaped by the government. So, for example, in case of land reforms, even today we see that the number of landless families is very, very high, and even the share of small and marginal farmers is around 76%. That means very small piece of land is being cultivated by large number of farmers, thereby the reducing income and productivity of those farmers. So they will remain poorer. Now, how to improve their lot still is a very, very big question. Similarly, in India, as the recent periodic labor force survey says, the youth unemployment has been increasing, and that too the graduate youth unemployment is on the very, very higher level. And whatever youth are employed, they're employed either in the casual sector or in self-employed category. And in the casual sector and self-employed category, the income earned is very, very low. It's not a decent work to do, so that they're employed but they're not getting a decent income. So again, that is hampering their economic and social mobility. So we need to look into all these aspects. We need to look into how these programs have been implemented and how these can be changed for betterment of the people. So this is a slide which in fact tells us how UBI, that is universal basic income, can help in improving the lot of the people, especially from the point of view of the guarantee schemes in Karnataka. How the UBI, that is universal basic income, universal means providing basic income to everyone. That's what Karnataka government is experiencing. So the expectations are it will bridge the skill gaps, which will support small business growth. For example, free transport for women may help her to move out, engage in trading, engage in small business, and thereby earn more. Then level playing field can be established. So if she can travel on a same platform, on a similar scale as the upper income lady, then again the level playing field is established. Then providing financial support to the people, then encouraging innovation and risk takings. For example, when the PM Kisan money goes, the farmer can buy new seeds, fertilizers, and thereby he can improve his agriculture performance. And of course, bridging the skill gaps. So a number of benefits are expected by the UBI, but still it is under discussion. It is under debate. There's a lot of controversy over this, but these are some of the benefits which can be designed. And I just want to share with you that the CMDR and Haveri University together are conducting a survey on the impact of the guarantee schemes, which maybe in another month's time will be able to come out with some concrete results. That's what we are going to do. And as I mentioned, India has a number of social security schemes, and whether it is for marriage, whether it is for pregnancy, whether it is for delivery, whether it is for food, whether it is for childbirth, whether it is for education, whether it is for unemployment insurance, whether it is for old age, for almost all categories we have social security schemes. But only thing is, what I urge all the young friends is to evaluate these schemes properly and come out with the implementation failures and what changes they can be affected for their effectiveness. There are schemes, but they are not properly happening. And another very serious thing to be noted in India is, in the last few years, the social expenditure, especially on the MG Narega, on health, on education, on social security schemes, etc., has been declining as a percentage of GDP, which is a very, very tragic things to note. And when the social expenditure deepens or declines, again it affects more the poor people. So this needs to be reversed by the government. Government has to spend more on the social sector schemes, which will definitely help the poor people in a more manner. So if MG Narega allocation is reduced, then it is the rural unskilled youth, unskilled people who will be affected in a serious manner. That's the thing. So by way of conclusion, I would say that inequality is very high and increasing alarmingly. Trickle down has failed conceptually and empirically. That growth itself will take care of redistribution will not happen. Government policies are half-hearted. Government, though it mentioned that it is in favor of poor or the weak, it is half-hearted. There is less progression in the taxes, and the social expenditure is declining. And capital formation, capital expenditure, though they say capex is increasing, but if you look at where the capex is invested, it is in those areas which are beneficial for the richer sections, not the poorer sections. So it is benefiting more the haves rather than the have-nots. And next, there are many cash transfer schemes, But of course, there is a lot of debate on these cash transfer schemes for which we need to debate. But however, experiments elsewhere in other countries, especially Brazil, etc., Bolivia and other countries, it is shown that when the studies by Esther Duflo and Abhijit Banerjee, the Nobel laureates, have shown that if the cash transfer policies are implemented properly in a more effective manner, they can definitely improve the lots of the people. Then institutional building is also not to favor the poor, but for the rich only. For example, if you look at regulations in our country and the implementation of Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act, etc., again the implementation is not in favor of the exploited, but in favor of those who in fact in that do that. And therefore, looking at this, the future is one as far as inequality is concerned, it seems to be bleak, because even if you look at the Trump's policies also are not that poor friendly or the weak friendly. So all these things would be pointing to the fact that the future is quite bleak unless the academicians, the policymakers, and the concerned people, they rise to the occasion and show it to the government that these are the implications of the policies that they have made. But and as far as inequality is concerned, we can go on and on. There can be huge discourses on this inequality, on different kinds of inequality. But I will stop here. I have tried to give you an overview of the inequalities, the nature of inequalities, the trends in inequalities, the consequence of inequalities, and some of the policies which we can take, and a brief review of those policies. This is what I have tried to do. I thank you for the opportunity, and I am open for discussion. Thank you very much.
So thank you, sir, for a very detailed discussion on inequalities. Few of these questions we have received, sir. Few of the queries.
Yeah, please.
So reservation in national eligibility test, even with the students who are studying in same class, is it required?
Yeah. Now again, this has to be poised in the context of social inequalities in India and the access to the basic amenities like schooling, the type of schooling, the type of training that is available to all segments of the population. And if you have reservations for all India services, then reservation for this examination is also not wrong. So in order to, because even today, many of the deprived communities, they are not found in these different services, mainly because not that they have no opportunities, but because they have no access to the better training, etc. So therefore, even for some time to come, the reservations have to go. Again, that is why now we are talking of reservation within the categories. What you call as Ola Misalati. So reservation within the community, that is what is now being taken up. So there is again, as I said, a debatable issue. But right now we need to look at the people empathetically, and it has to be continued.
So one more question is received, sir.
Yeah.
Till now, India has completed 12 5-year plans, and under think tank Niti Ayoga is under progress. Since fourth 5-year plan, the objective of our planning commission is removal of poverty.
Yeah.
No doubt. For this, many subsidies are given, many concessions are given, a number of things are given. But still, why this inequality or poverty or unemployment still exists? Whether it means the participants want to ask whether these inequality or poverty reduction schemes are not working properly.
Okay. In fact, again, if you look at the poverty studies, or even the reports of UNDP or Niti Ayoga or Planning Commission, the head count ratio has declined only for certain period. For example, the study which I mentioned about increase in poverty was for the period 2012 to 2017-18. And at that time there was a overall recession in the Indian economy. Because of that reason, the absolute poverty might have increased. Now if you take a larger period, say for example 1970 to 2020, like that, if you take a longer period, definitely there has been a reduction in the poverty and headcount ratio. This is also made very clear in the multi-dimensional poverty index report of the Niti Ayoga. There also they have said that not only the headcount ratio, which is mainly based on income, but the multi-dimensional poverty index based on various other indicators like housing, drinking water, education, health, etc., and assets. So taking these into account, even the MDPI has come down significantly, and we have been able to bring nearly 200 crores of people above the poverty line during the last 20 years. That is what the Niti Aayog report says. And the other part of the question is why this poverty continues. In fact, we cannot expect that, or the poverty cannot be eradicated completely. Even if absolute poverty is eradicated, the relative poverty will continue. So there will be some richer sections and some poorer sections. That is why the social security schemes have to go on. That is the reason for that. And the reason why still inequality continues even today is, again, as I mentioned again and again, that there are many government programs, but they are not properly implemented. Whether you take land reforms, whether you take subsidy programs, even PDS, whether you take PDS, there are many people who have better income, but still they have BPL cards. So such kind of mistargeting and wrong identification of beneficiaries and wrong implementation of the schemes has been responsible for these things. That's what I said. It is up to the duty of the local authorities and also people like us in the academics to, in fact, dissect into all these things, investigate all these things, and find out what exactly is happening. So there are snags, we all know, but where we need to overcome. And let me tell you, with the emergence of this technology, internet technology, etc., we have now a lot of options to identify the person and direct the benefit to that person only. And people may be aware about DBT, direct benefit transfer, which has reduced the subsidy bills to a lot many extent. So there are options, but we need to explore them and implement them properly. And technology is one of the better answers which we have. That's my response.
Sir, one more last question what we received is, sir,
Yeah.
youth unemployment exists in India. Already India is said to be a young nation. Why won't our youth are mobile to abroad, as India is said to be a employment hub, MNC hub, FDI hub? Why not our youth who are unemployed? Why don't they move to other countries in search of jobs?
Yeah, this is a really a very good question. Others are also really good, but this is more relevant because uh, the youth, India, as it is mentioned, India is a young country. The median age is around 35 years, Indians, and till 2040, we are going to be in this particular bracket of what is called as demographic dividend. And but however, if you look at the employment scenario, the youth unemployment is not only high, but it is increasing. And why youth unemployment is increasing, or why it is high? It is mainly because we are not providing the right kind of skills. Either the skills we are giving in the education sector are not matching with the industry or corporate sectors, or they are not ready to hire our students in whatever things they do. So because of that reason, the youth unemployment is very, very high. But however, if you look at the growth rates of population across countries, especially European country, Japan, and even to some extent the North American countries, the growth rate of population is declining. And here India has a very, very clear advantage. We can export youth. We can export youth for various jobs. Especially care economy is one which is increasing. Care economy is taking care of sick, is taking care of elderly, and all these things. It is increasing at a very, very rapid rate. Now, if you train our youth in these areas where it is needed the most. These are very basic skills which have to be given. So if these basic skills are given, like hospitality and care economy, then definitely our youth have lot of chance. Already our youth have gone outside and they have proved their worth in different activities like software management, etc. But this is the area which is very fertile, and this is which we need to exploit. Otherwise the demographic dividend will become a demographic disaster. And one point, another last point to add is, the other countries have they are not very open for human mobility. They are open for mobility of capital and other inputs, but as far as human mobility is concerned, there are a lot of restrictions. Now government has to sit bilaterally or multilaterally, or the multilateral agencies like WTO, World Bank, etc., have to devise some policies so that there is free movement of people from country to country. And if that is done, India can be a source of human resources for the whole world. That's really a good question which was raised. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So,
Thank
in
you very
spite
much.
of your very
Oh,
busy schedule,
one
sir.
second. One second. I take this opportunity to thank the organizers, Dr. Tammanna, Dr. Bhakti, Mr. Suleiman, and all the persons from Bangaramma Sajjan College, and all the participants for giving me this opportunity. I enjoyed the session thoroughly, and I was overwhelmed by the responses that came in the form of questions. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. In spite of your very busy schedule, being a registrar, you gave time for our webinar. Almost all the topics, all the discussion was very good, and responses from the students were also very good, and the received responses were also really very impactful. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Thank
once
you.
again, sir.
Thank you. I will log out. I will log out.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Where is sir?
Hello. Goyari sir, are you there, sir?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Hello. Just one.
Yes, sir, you are audible and we can hear you.
Okay, okay, nice.
Fine.
So I was little late. Sorry, I am extremely sorry.
It's okay, sir.
No,
No
sir, no.
problem.
Okay, we are honored to have with us Professor Phanindra Goyari, sir, Professor of Economics at the School of Economics, University of Hyderabad. I request Dr. Bhakti Mahindrakar, Madam, to introduce our today's resource person, Professor Phanindra Goyari. Madam, please.
A very warm welcome, sir. Dear participants, it's my pleasure to introduce Chief Guest Speaker of this vital webinar, that is Professor Phanindra Goyari, sir, Professor of Economics, School of Economics, University of Hyderabad, Hyderabad. It is my immense pleasure to introduce before you a brief details of Phanindra Goyari, sir. Sir is currently a full-time professor of economics for teaching and research in School of Economics, University of Hyderabad. Sir successfully completed his UGC Raman Fellowship period and postdoctoral research works at Texas Christian University, USA during 2016-17. Sir has nearly 23 years of teaching experience in economics at the master's level. Before joining this university, Sir worked for a short period as a regular lecturer in Department of Business Economics at VBS University, Junapur. Sir completed his MA from Gauhati University. Sir obtained his MPhil degree from Indira Gandhi Institute of Development Research, Mumbai, and PhD degree in Agricultural Economics from the University of Hyderabad. Sir has been teaching econometrics, model buildings, simulation in economics, microeconomic theory, mathematical methods for economics, optimization in economic theory, statistics for economics, and theories of economic growth to MA and IMA students. Present research interests are broadly in agricultural economics with special reference to summer paddy, irrigation development, weather risks, and a nanoparade tourism, health economics, development economics, Indian economy, and development issues. SIR's research team has published more than 50 research papers which appeared in many referred journals. SIR has published 4 books till now. He has guided 18 PhD scholars, 16 MPhil scholars, 21 master's theses. Some of his successful research scholars are now working as regular faculty members in various institutions like IIT Kharagpur, IIT Goa, Raneshwar University, NIPFP New Delhi, ICES Bangalore, Central University of Jharkhand, North Orissa University, Central University of Jammu, and various colleges throughout country. Sir holds various academic positions in different capacities. In Professor Phinendra Goyari sir, we see a committed teacher, a vibrant institution builder, a great philosopher, a critical social thinker, and an enormous human in action. Sir, we are very glad through your presence and accepting our invitation as a chief guest speaker. Over to Goyari sir. Sir, please.
A very good morning to all of you, and
Good morning, sir.
thank you so much, Dr. Bhakti Madam, for your nice introduction. I am very happy to join this national webinar. So, very good morning to all of you, respected principal, and chairperson of this seminar, Dr. Tammanna ji, principal of this Srimati Bangaramma Sajjan Arts, Commerce and Science College for Women, Vijayapur, organizing committee members, especially Dr. Bhakti Mahindrakar Madam, who is also a Sodi Hattarakihal, all teachers, students, uh, and public who are able to join this webinar. I have listened to the other resource person, Dr. Bhagal Koti, who is a professor of economics and also the registrar, Haveri University. It was very interesting. I have enjoyed. Now, the topic of this seminar is given an impact of public policies on income distribution. I think Professor Bhagal Koti has very nicely explained on this topic various issues. Now, little away from this topic, in my lecture, I would like to speak on broadly Indian agriculture sector, paradigm change, shifting policy issues, and how agriculture sector in India has been changing over a period of time, and how these changes in policies are affecting, bringing lots of patterns, sustainability issues. On these issues, I'll speak. Let me share my PowerPoint. Just one minute. Is my PPT visible?
No, sir, not yet.
No, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Just
you can
hold.
upload your PPT. There is an option in present,
Yeah, yeah.
slides and PDFs.
Slide.
Or you can share your entire screen, sir.
Better, I will share entire screen.
Okay.
Now I think it must be available.
No, sir, still not. Now it's
Or like,
visible, sir.
yeah. So for better sound quality, I think if everybody can switch off the mic, then I think I will be more comfortable to speak.
Okay, fine, sir.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm very comfortable. So this is the topic of my presentation today. Uh, Indian agriculture after the Green Revolution, some issues and challenges, and sustainability issues. So this I'll be speaking uh, just like a topic taught at the master degree level. So not from a high research point of view. Now a little information. When I was a postdoctoral research scholar at Texas Christian University in USA. In this book, Indian Agriculture After Green Revolution, Changes and Challenges, published by Routledge publisher, uh, we were invited and we published one chapter, a core chapter. It was in 2018, along with my postdoctoral supervisor, Professor Kirill Toskov, and my PhD student, Titi Ranjan Paltasing. And that chapter came out very well. So now there is a demand that this chapter should be revived, rewritten. So that is why we are actually working on this. So what about data sources, data variables? I will be telling. So some of the data diagrams may be a little non-updated, but information, whatever I will be speaking, it has still relevance. So this is the background. So most of the items of this lecture I am drawing from this book chapter, from this book. Now, basic objective of my uh, lecture is to examine some changes and challenges in Indian agriculture after the Green Revolution period, and to examine some policy issues for sustainability of agriculture production and productivity, and how we can move ahead. Now, before we go further, I would like to say that after independence, after Green Revolution period, starting of Green Revolution period, Indian agriculture has passed through several phases, several stages, several changes have come up. All these things we can club together into three phases: successful Green Revolution, positive thing, and negative thing also has come, that is agrarian crisis. Now third phase in recent years, which we have been observing, is the use and application of artificial intelligence, information technology, computer technology, mobile technology in agricultural sector, agricultural activities, agricultural production, and in various activities. So these are going to have some positive effect, maybe some negative effects also, but more analysis, more examination, more research activities are required. So with this, I will be speaking broadly what is green revolution, growth trends in Indian agriculture across regions and states of India, compositional sense with respect to cropping pattern and crop diversification, trends in Indian agricultural investment, and cost of cultivation, broadly covering agrarian crisis and some issues related to sustainability way forward. To start with, when we speak of agriculture sector, it is not just paddy or some vegetables. So agriculture sector basically includes four subsectors, proper crops like paddy, wheat, vegetables, fruits, livestock like poultry farm or dairy farming, forestry, uh, law, forest items, fisheries or aquaculture. That is why when we speak of agricultural sector development in a country like in India, we have to talk about each and every subsector also. Uh, one sector, one subsector cannot be emphasized, or one subsector cannot be neglected. We have to give, we should try to give balance emphasis on each and every subsector. Moreover, in our day-to-day life, what we find inputs are interrelated and interdependent. For example, if I have a tractor, tractor can be used for transporting uh, paddy or wheat from harvesting location to home or for to the market location. The same tractor can be used for transporting like this forest items or even a fishing boat. So that's why they are interrelated. Now, what is green revolution? Everybody knows it is a situation in Indian agriculture when we achieve spectacular growth in food grain production, particularly in rice and wheat. At that time, after independence, India was actually suffering from a food deficit. Many states, many regions in India, many people in India were suffering from a food problem. Many people were not having two meals a day, and country was in great need of a huge production of food grains. Actually, India was importing many food grains from other countries of the world. So, because of this green revolution technology, country actually became slowly self-sufficient in food grains, was able to feed people, and this became successful because of adoption of modern agricultural technology, modern methods by the use of like high yielding varieties of seeds, tractors, irrigation, modern irrigation facilities, applications of inputs like chemical fertilizer, pesticides, and this process started around 1960s, 64, 65, mainly in two major crops, paddy and wheat, and it was actually concentrated in western part of India, Punjab and Haryana. But slowly it started spreading to other states, and slowly it covered almost every state, every part of India over a period of time. So that is a great success story for India, and everybody benefited from this Green Revolution movement. Behind this Green Revolution movement, uh, we know this Professor M.S. Swaminathan. He is known as father of India's Green Revolution. Along with this Green Revolution, India also experienced many other revolutions in agriculture sector. One is a yellow revolution associated with oilseeds production during 1990s because of oilseed technology mission, which started during 1985 itself. India, similar to this food problem, India was suffering from this deficit in oilseeds, and this technology mission in oilseeds helped production of more and more oilseeds, and India also became self-sufficient in this oilseeds production. Another is a white revolution associated with milk production. India was having lots of deficits in milk production. Then this father of white revolution, Dr. Varghese Kurian, his ideas, his approaches helped India to produce more and more milk. One statistic I am giving here, around 17% of global milk production India was able to produce in the year 2010-11 itself. So these are good stories for Indian economy. Come to this diagram. This is showing a growth rate in agriculture, annual compound growth rate during this some periods. Recent data values are not added. So you can see just after independence, Indian GDP growth was very, very low, around 2% or sometimes below 2%, and it was not growing at all. That was popularly known as a Hindu growth rate. But over a period of time, after several technology adoption or good policies, Indian economy's economic growth in GDP was going up and up. That black color diagram. But below agriculture sector, this red color line, agriculture sector was always lower than the overall GDP growth in India in every sub period. So that shows that Indian agriculture sector has to do well, has to do more, so that growth rate goes up and up. Another important situation in India is declining contribution share of agriculture sector in gross domestic product in India. So this diagram on the left side will show just after independence, when India started 5-year planning in 1950-51. So more than 50% of the share of GDP in India was coming from agriculture sector. But over a period of time, that share has been declining. Now, in recent years, it is around 14-15%. On the other hand, right side, you can see the industrial sector, I mean secondary sector and tertiary sectors, services sectors, their contributions have been going up and up. So the services sector contributions have been going up and up over and above this industry and agriculture sector. Now, many economists all over the world in many countries, they are asking this question, decline in the share of contribution of agriculture sector, which is the primary sector, to the total GDP can be considered as a positive sign of growth for the economy. If it is declining, we can consider it as a good sign, positive sign. But on the condition that other sectors like industry and service sectors, they should be growing well, they should be absorbing well, employing people able to contribute to the overall growth of the economy. But what is happening in India, this declining share of agriculture sector contribution is lower than the rate of decline in workforce engaged in agriculture sector. That is, the workforce, people engaged, people dependent on agriculture sector has not been declining so fast. It should have declined. It should have been absorbed more and more in industry and service sectors. So that is the problem. This shows still around 53%, maybe more than 53% of the workforce, which includes cultivators and agricultural laborers, they are still dependent directly on agriculture sector. That is a huge share. So this situation shows that labor productivity has been low in agriculture sector, and other sectors like services sectors, IT companies, or other sectors, industrial manufacturing sectors, non-manufacturing sectors, they are not able to absorb abundant labor, surplus labor, uh, which is found in agriculture sector, in rural areas particularly. Interestingly, this declining share of agriculture sector contribution to GDP is not just a phenomena in India. It is also a situation in many countries of the world, like I have shown here for USA and China. In USA also, the sectoral agriculture sector contribution is low, but it is still declining. In China, the agriculture sector contribution is around, it was around 11%. It is still declining. So that is a trend in many countries also. Now this diagram will tell us some correlation, a share of agriculture in overall GDP of the country, and mechanization, use of machines, mechanization share. So on the top we have agriculture sector contribution to GDP, and on the lower side we have level of mechanization as a percentage from UNDP data. We see in India the agriculture sector contribution has been is still high, around 14%, 15%. At the same time, the level of mechanization, use of machines in uh, agricultural activities has been very low. That is more of many activities, many works are done by human labor, human hands manually. Other side, you can see in USA, agriculture sector contribution has been very, very low, around 1%. In Western Europe, 4%. Russia also around 4%. But the level of mechanization has been very high, around 95%. So most of the works like harvesting, cultivation, flowing, carrying, transporting, everything is done by machines. So this shows India has to do more if mechanization has to be employed more and more. Next, I'm trying to speak on agricultural growth across regions and states with respect to irrigation, which is considered to be a very important input in agricultural production. During Green Revolution period, irrigation condition was considered to be very important input for agricultural production. In fact, agricultural growth, agricultural production, productivity, everything was high only to those states or those regions where irrigation facility was very high was available. Accordingly, we found agricultural performances varied differently in different regions. But after the period 2000, 2001, the growth pattern in terms of agriculture sector was very different. So if we classify Indian states into three categories in terms of irrigation: high irrigation states like Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, or medium irrigation states like Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, and relatively low irrigation states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Assam. What we found, empirical data will tell us the agricultural sector growth has been faster in medium irrigation states, and later it was high even in low irrigation states compared to high irrigation states. So it shows irrigation is not becoming an important input for agricultural production. Then we can ask, as researchers, as students of economics, what is helping, what is motivating, what is driving force of these low irrigation states to produce more and more, to have higher growth in agricultural production and productivity? Is it adoption of better technology, or is it adoption of mechanization or any other things, or proper use of irrigation, scarce resources, which are helping a growth of higher production and productivity of agriculture? So that has to be examined in a deeper way. We are coming to now next point. In agricultural sector, these two concepts are very important: concentration and diversification of crops or sectors. So concentration, we generally mean if a particular family is cultivating only one crop, let us say rice, then it is a good example of concentration. If a family is cultivating many crops, rice, wheat, potato, and many other vegetables, then this is a good example of diversification of crops. Now, one family can also do proper crop cultivation, this dairy farming for milk production, forestry, fisheries. Then this is a good example of diversification of agriculture sector. So now moving to one region, a state, Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, the whole state also can do diversification, not cultivating one crop or one sector, but various crops, various subsectors. So I have one question: which is better for overall development of a state, overall development of a family? So obviously answer is diversification. We need diversification because it has lots of values, theoretically as well as practically. If one sector fails, like due to flood or cyclone or for some natural calamity, suppose paddy cultivation is lost, wheat cultivation is lost, we have other source of income like from fishing, from milk production or forestry. So that is why many economists are advocating a state, a country should go for diversification, or should not concentrate on few crops for one crop. Now, in India, I have brought some data values. Uh, these data values are also supporting our argument. I have shown here income share from various subsectors. So the lower portion, income share from crops, it was around 75%, and remaining 25% was from fisheries, livestock, and forestry. But over the period, income share from crops has been declining, like around 65. In recent years, I think it may be lower. But combined income share from non-crops, that is fisheries, forestry, livestock, it has been around 35%. Now I think in recent years it may be more. So that is a good sign for the economy as a whole. So I'm just repeating what I have spoken. If we classify all India into 5 regions like Eastern region, Northern region, Western region, Central and South, Karnataka will be falling under Southern region. So Northern region, which includes Punjab and Haryana, uh, during Green Revolution period, this region was major beneficiary of Green Revolution. They are still experiencing concentration of few crops, basically rice and wheat. But almost other regions, including Southern region, they have been actually going to diversification. And diversification is actually in terms of high value crops like oil seeds. Farmers are cultivating more and more of these high value crops, oil seeds, fruits, spices, plantation crops, vegetables. Why it is called high value crops? Because on a small plot of land, we can cultivate, uh, let us say, uh, potato. Uh, we need not give so much irrigation water like for wheat or rice, and we need not take so much care every day. But if you sell even 1 quintal of potato, we can get huge money. So the return value may be very high. That is why it is high value crops. Let us come to another topic. We call it cropping pattern changes in India. A cropping pattern is generally defined as the share of various crops in gross crop area of a region at a particular point and generally counted during 1 year. I have calculated some data values are there, secondary data, uh, 3 year ending. I'll just tell the story. So broadly, if you classify total food grains and total non-food grains, under food grains, rice, wheat, maize will come. Under non-food grains, these are oil seeds, plantation crops, spices will come. So this red color below this red color share, it will tell us percentage share of non-food grains area has been going up and up in recent years. I think it may be around 30 or more than 30. But the food grain share of area has been declining over a period of time. That is happening at the all India level. If we go deeper to individual crops, we find all over India in many states rice has been the most dominant crop, but the rice area share has been around 22%, almost stagnant till now. On the other hand, you can see this total oil seeds area, total food fruits area share has been going up. core cereals, which generally includes millets, ragi, bajra, it was declining uh, till 2020, 12, 13. But because of this government policy, government emphasis in recent years, this millet program or emphasis on millets. In recent years, the area share has been going up. Total production has been going up. That is a good sign because now food security experts and nutritious experts, they have been saying that millet consumption has to go up. It is good for health. So in near future, we can expect more area share to go up under millets. That is coarse cereals. So again, I am asking this question. Cropping pattern is changing, diversification is changing in favor of high value crops, non-food grain crops like oilseeds, spices, fruits, vegetables. Now we can ask, what is helping it? Is it technology adoption? Is it diversification? Or is it market facilities are available? Or something is helping? Policy is helping. So this researchers has to examine more and more. Interesting trend. I'm coming to another point, that is what is happening to agricultural investment, because investment is very important for any sector to grow up, to sustain further growth. So this red color upper portion diagram, it will show the share of gross capital formation in agriculture, both public and private, in as a share in total gross capital formation in Indian economy at current prices. So we find during Green Revolution period, due to government emphasis, the investment share was up and up. It was high till 1980s, 85. But after liberalization period, from 1991, share has been declining, going down. So that is a sad part. Agriculture sector is not getting proper attention in terms of investment. On the lower side, we see private sector and public sector investment share. This blue color is a public sector. It is becoming well below private sector. So private sector has been going up and up in terms of share in investment. And after liberalization period, after 1991, the share has been going up and up. So same thing I am saying here. So private sector investment has been going down in agriculture sector, and most of the investment shares are from private investment. Another point now, rising cost of cultivation and farm income falling. So one of the important reasons behind agrarian crisis, which actually started during after liberalization period 1991, as argued by many researchers, policymakers, and academicians, it is the rising cost of cultivation and a declining net returns from many crops. So in a simple definition, simple language, and net income or net profit we get by this formula: total revenue minus total cost. Total revenue is coming from this price per unit multiplied by total quantity of output produced or sold out in the market. So total revenue will go up when price or minimum support price, it should go up, or total production should go up. If they are not going up, total revenue will not go up. But on the other hand, total cost component includes many items like uh, irrigation cost, seed cost, labor cost, input cost, or a credit bank loan, etc. So the cost components have a tendency to go up and up over a period of time. That is why if this total cost component is going up and up, and this total revenue component is either remaining constant or not going so high, so net income or net profit may become negative, and it was actually becoming negative for many crops. So when profit or return is not growing up or becoming negative, it is not beneficial or not profitable for many farmers to cultivate many crops. So that was the situation behind this agrarian crisis during 1990s until 2000. Another issue I am saying, if we classify all Indian states into two categories, states having above national level irrigation and states having below national level irrigation, and calculate their average income from agricultural cultivation. So one study by Narayana Murthy, he found that the average incomes of farmers from cultivation for the states having above national level irrigation are not substantially different from those of states having below national level irrigation. So that shows uh, even if a state or region is having very high irrigation facilities, farmers staying in that region may not be able to get higher and higher income. So irrigation is not becoming very important factor, not becoming very important input. So other factors, other inputs, better utilization, uh, efficient utilization of inputs are becoming important. I was mentioning this agrarian crisis. Uh, Although green revolution in India brought many benefits, many advantages during 60s, 70s till 80s, this sector suffered many problems, particularly in rural areas, uh, starting from this liberalization period, 1990s. And this crisis has not one dimension. This crisis is characterized by several interrelated issues, like high indebtedness among farmers, particularly small and marginal farmers, deteriorating farm productivity, rising cost of cultivation and declining profitability, net return, degradation of soil quality, water quality, damage to natural resources, natural fertility, and also increased competition from imported items from foreign countries, because liberalization helped import of many items from abroad. So those problems were not getting serious attention from many policymakers. When the worst manifestation came uh, in the form of farmer suicide in many regions, then this problem got attention, mostly in agricultural backward regions. So solution of such problems require proper agricultural policies, proper comprehensive agricultural policies, and we need sustainable agriculture in the country. Now, I was mentioning this recent emerging trends what is happening, uh, agriculture sector has witnessed use of technology, better technologies like using more drones even to spread pesticides or fertilizers, farm automation, artificial intelligence, robotics, internal mobile technologies. Like people are talking over phone about what is the prevailing price in your market, in your location, or even to sell products in the rural area. People are talking, uh, making contact with mobile phones, internet. So, and precision farming, uh, which is focusing on improving the quality and quantity of yield while minimizing environmental damage, and regenerative farming to improve soil health and biodiversity by reducing soil disturbances. At the central level now, also in many states, we find various welfare schemes for farmers, like giving credit support to farmers based on some area, and various schemes to improve core cereals like millets, focusing on food security, nutritional security. So all these new schemes, new technologies were not available, uh, were not used during Green Revolution period, during 1950s, 60s, even during agrarian crisis. Those schemes were not there. So this kind of schemes, this kind of technologies will have definitely negative impact as well as positive impact in the future, in the near future. We cannot ignore those technologies, those schemes also. So more analysis, more research activities have to be done on those schemes, those trends, so that we can get more insights and more observations. So with these few words, I just keep summary here and I stop here. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak on this topic. Yeah, over to Bhakti Madam.
So thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Few questions were raised by participants. Shall I, sir?
Yes, Madam. Yeah,
Shall
please.
I go ahead with questions? Few questions raised by participants. Under
Ha
Green
ha.
Revolution, no doubt food production was increased, but due to hybrid seeds, its impact on health was not that much of good, sir. Again, the trend is moving towards organic farming and organic food. Is this the post era of Green Revolution, sir?
Yeah, yeah. I'll answer this. Yeah. Very good question. If you read some articles by father of Green Revolution, uh, Professor Swaminathan, initially even he was not in favor of going for these high yielding varieties, uh, many crop varieties which are giving high production, high productivity at the cost of traditional crops. So, but at that time, I mentioned already in my presentation, during 1950s and 60s, India was needing in more and more food, food production, whether it is a hybrid or non-hybrid, we need more food so that our stomach should be filled. Many people were sleeping with empty, empty, empty stomach, not having a full 2 squares meal. That was the situation. Now, in spite of all these negative things about these hybrid and high yielding varieties, India had to go for this new option. And at that time, India was very popular in this coarse cereals, what is popularly known as coarse cereals, like ragi, bajra, many millets. But those traditional crops, even traditional varieties of rice, wheat, their productivity was not that high. In terms of protein, in terms of nutritional component, these items, these varieties were very good, but production and productivity was not high. That was the reason India had to adopt these high yielding varieties. Now, whatever you are saying, India is again going back to non-hybrid. Uh, Actually, it is not a new phenomena. During this Green Revolution period, also India was not totally abandoning, not totally removing these traditional varieties. Indian farmers were actually cultivating those traditional varieties also, along with hybrid varieties. So now, if government is emphasizing, people are emphasizing traditional varieties, non-hybrid varieties, or organic varieties. That is a good for the country. But at the same time, I am saying we cannot ignore hybrid varieties also. We need both. Thank you so much.
Sir, one more question, sir. Goyari, sir, one more question, sir.
Yes.
So, to what extent it is correct that agricultural sector is not taxed? If we check the reality, no doubt there are poor farmers and there should not be tax on agriculture, but there are also landlords.
Uh, that
Am I
is a
audible,
very,
sir?
yeah. I can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
That is a very good question, policy related question. Uh, I can hear even sometimes in parliament, it is not only policymakers, not only MPs and MLAs who are discussing. I totally agree. Rich farmers, uh, landlords, they should be taxed. There maybe there should be some taxation on their income, but till now in India we don't have this system. So I think we need to wait for some time. If Parliament adopts this policy, then only I can we can expect.
Yeah. ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗ ಮಸ್ತ್ ಬೇಡ ನಾನು
Sir, Goyari, sir, one more last question, sir, from the part of participants. How can we enhance agrarian income in future India, especially during during Viksit Bharat period?
Interesting point to increase income of farmers. In many budgets, I think uh, last year also, in I think in this in this present budget also, somewhere we found some emphasis, doubling of income or raising the income of farmers. So that emphasis has been there almost in every budget. How to raise, how to increase the income of farmers. Uh, we cannot have only one policy. We cannot have only one scheme. There are several schemes, and one scheme in my presentation I have already spoken. Even a small farmer in a rural area can have diversification. That is one method to raise the income. If I have only paddy cultivation, it is dangerous and it is not possible to raise the income or double the income. And most of the crop cultivation is seasonal in nature. During a non-seasonal time, like after paddy is cultivated, we should not remain idle. What is called non-farm activities, we need to engage ourselves. Non-farm activities may be uh, like small business, giving shop, small shops, or even migrating to some nearby industrial areas or urban areas. During lean period, we can earn more money. So many activities we can do. Another way is to raise our skill. If I am little educated farmer having like class 10 or 11, 12 education, I am capable of learning computer. I am capable of learning some repairing some machines, and by opening small shops I can always earn extra income. So this much from my side here.
So one more last question we received, sir. Do you think the shift from MSP to income-based support, such as direct transfer, is beneficial for our farmers? MSP
Yeah.
to income-based support. Do they
uh,
benefits? Is it beneficial to our farmers, sir?
Actually, whatever is happening in India, uh, because of some negative aspects under MSP, minimum support price. Now, many economists, many policymakers are suggesting alternative method that is popularly known as a direct benefit, direct transfer of some support. Uh, Whatever I have understood, I think that alternative method is better, because under MSP only it was going to some other, because farmers were not getting the minimum support price. The intermediate buyers, they were actually giving lower price to many actual farmers. That was the main problem. But under direct benefit scheme, the money will be transferred directly to the farmers, and they will actually get the uh, what they are supposed to get. So yeah, direct benefit scheme will be much better if it is properly implemented compared to MSP. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. ಬೇರೆ
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening session. So now I request uh, Dr. Y. Tammanna, sir, principal and the president of this webinar, to give the presidential remarks. Sir, please.
Thank you, Professor Suleiman sir. Good morning, everyone present over here. Under IQAC initiative, the Department of Economics, in collaboration with Alumni Association, organized a one-day national level webinar on impact of public policies on Indian equality. A distinguished keynote speaker, eminent economist, and my esteemed guru, Dr. S.T. Bagalkoti Sarji, Professor of Economics and Registrar, Haveri University, Haveri. Respected resource person, Professor Panibandra Goyari, Professor of Economics, University of Hyderabad. Dr. Bhakti Mahindrakar, Head of the Department of Economics and IQAC Coordinator. Organizing Secretary, Professor Suleiman Hattarakihal, my colleagues, research scholars, and delegates from the different parts of the nation. It's my great honor to stand before you today as we are near to the conclusion of this enlightening webinar, a thought-provoking and a national webinar over the past sessions. We have engaged in meaningful discussions, explored new perspectives, and deepened our understanding of impact of public policies on Indian income inequality. At the heart of this intellectual exchange are our distinguished resource persons whose insights, expertise, and dedication to have greatly enriched our discussions. Now let me to express my heartfelt appreciation to them. At the very outset, I deem it's my pleasure to extend my warm and cheerful thanks to Dr. S.T. Bagalkoti, Professor, Department of Economics, Registrar, Haveri University, Haveri. Now, I would like to highlight a few points from his speech. Firstly, inequality is very high and increasing rapidly. Yes, if the economic power concentrated only in the hands of few people, what happens? Some inequality will take place. It leads to duplication of work and lack of coordination and lack of supervision. Under such administration, we cannot expect a good administration in the country. So, and secondly, he pointed out that impact of economic inequality, and at the same time, even if the such gap creates, what happens? Crime rate will increase. So this is rightly he said. So your keynote address on impact of public policies on income distribution has provided us with valuable knowledge and a fresh perspectives. Your in-depth analysis and practical exams have broadened our understanding and inspired us to explore new solutions. And secondly, Professor Panibandhan Goyari presented his views on Indian agriculture after the Green Revolution. Overview of some challenges and yeah, this one changes and challenges. Your expertise in Indian agriculture growth has truly been enlightening. Your ability to speak, simplify this complex concept, and engage our audience had made a lasting impact, equipping with us knowledge and that will shape our future endeavors. On behalf of my BLD association, Srimati Bangaramma Sajjan, Arts, Commerce and Science College for Women, Vijayapura. I extend my deepest gratitude to our resource persons for their valuable contributions. Your dedication to knowledge sharing and professional development is commendable, and we are privileged to have learned from you, sir. I would like to thank our organizers, Dr. Bhakti Mahindrakar and Professor Suleiman, for their tireless efforts in putting this event together. Your hard work has not gone unnoticed. To our participants, thank you for your active engagement, insightful questions, and commitment to learning. Let us take the knowledge we have gained and apply it to our perspective field, ensuring that impact of this webinar extends beyond these walls. With that, I officially conclude this seminar, and I look forward to more opportunities for collaboration and sharing in the future. And we also expect the same similar cooperation in the days to come, and we continue to strive for the excellence and innovations. With these very few words, I conclude my presidential remarks. Thank you, one and all. Thank you,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your presidential remarks. With this, here we conclude today's webinar. I once again grateful to the keynote speaker of today's webinar, Dr. S.T. Bagalkoti sir, as well our today's resource person, Professor Panindra Goyari sir, Professor of Economics, School of Economics, Hyderabad University. And along that, I extend my gratitude to the webinar convener, Dr. Bhakti Mahindrakar Madam, and Srimati H.S. Desai for her warm welcoming in this webinar, as well as all those persons or all those people who are supported to us to conduct this webinar successfully. Thank you, one and all. And a special thanks to our Dr. Tammanna sir, beloved principal of our college. Because of his
Thank
support
you.
and encouragement, only we have organized this webinar. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Panibandra, sir. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you. Thank you
And
so much.
we expect the same cooperation in the days to come, sir.
Nice, sir. Yeah. Yeah. This time I am not able to come. Maybe
Thank you,
next
sir.
time we can come.
No, definitely we are going to conduct this one offline seminar. So definitely we will invite you, sir.
Beautiful.
Nice, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely, sir. As per the instructions, our principal, we will have an offline seminar also, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.